We'll use, um, there we go. I'm telling you, it has been, an interesting setup tonight trying to get everything to work. There's audio now, I know there is. But I'm using the audio from my laptop instead of my audio from my microphone, so it's gonna sound kinda like crap. Let me try one more time if I can get it switched over here. I hate to use I will start this one then. I hate to use this microphone. Anyway, it has been, I had everything all set up and ready to go. I was saying this before, um, when you couldn't get the audio. What I was saying is I had everything all set up and ready to go. Everything was ready to rock. And yesterday, Chrome did an update on me. So I ran into the same problem in the studio this morning. Had to reset everything up, and I thought I had it working, and it was working here just fine right now. And as Art says, I am using the laptop microphone, which I don't like to do. Here I am talking into this microphone, and it doesn't work. I don't like to do, but I got it working now. So the audio will be a little suspect, and every time I touch my laptop, you will hear it. Good evening, Cliff. Good evening, Art. Good evening, Brian. Good evening, Matt. Good evening, Larry. Linda, how are you? I appreciate you saying that. That's very nice. Bernie, always a pleasure. Rabbit homesteading. Art said it sounds good. Yeah, the microphone in my Mac laptop isn't too bad, but I worry that every time I hit a key like this, that you're going to hear it. But it is what it is. Better than the sound of silence, Jim Felgenauer says. Jim is one of those guys who sometimes is on here and doesn't say anything. So, Jim, it's nice to have you on with us tonight, buddy. I appreciate it. Jerry's with us tonight. Craig is with us. Michelle, hello, Michelle. How are you? Michelle, I look forward to seeing you Saturday, March 1st at the Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner in Austin. Patrick Bruce, good evening. How are you? Eric, always a pleasure to have you along with us. I do appreciate it so very much. Chris, Dino was with us last week, and he's back again. Ken, a good friend of mine, brother from Trinity Monitor, our church. Ken, I wonder, I suspect you're going to be at the dinner this year. Thoughts and prayers continue for your family. Jerry, good evening. Hello, Mike. How are you? Happy Wednesday to you, John. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live right here on my Facebook page, on my YouTube channel, on LinkedIn, on X, formerly known as Twitter. Tony, I will see you in about 3 weeks as we get together for the Calvary Baptist event. That's always a lot of fun as well. Mike said, I wish we could be back for dinner. I wish you do. It would be, yes, you could do some online bidding. Yes, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Kirk, headed to Lexington tomorrow, try to get some silvers. Nice, have fun. Yeah, Art says, I hope you do better with the gun. Art hopes to do better with the gun raffle than I did with the special hunt drawing. That is the pure Michigan hunt. The state of Michigan, in particular the DNR, made a major mistake this year. And I'm not very happy about it, and I'm not going to let them off the hook. The winners for the Pure Michigan Hunt were drawn last Friday, and they did not draw me, and that was a mistake. I don't know if it was a technical glitch or whatever, but it was an absolute mistake, and I'm not very happy about it at all. Jim, good evening. I feel good, Dave. He says, you're looking healthy. I feel good. I'm good. I'm back. John Callison, good evening. How are you? Larry said he didn't draw him. How's the fishing on Saginaw Bay? It's good. Bernie, big 10 points. So on Saturday morning, one side had dropped off. Interesting. Mike, good evening. How are you? My name is Mike Avery. This is Wednesday Night Live. Some things I want to talk about, including the rundown for this week's radio show. Captain JT, have you heard if they're doing walleye for Warriors event this year? Absolutely, they are. Absolutely. It'll probably be the weekend after Father's Day, but you can bet they are having walleye for Warriors. Scott Hand, are you on here? Scott is one of the forces behind walleye for Warriors. I will guarantee you They are doing a walleye for Warriors event this year. Once again, out of Linwood Beach Marina on Saginaw Bay. I will be involved in that event. I won't be fishing. I found out that I'm better up because I do want to be involved. Um, I'll be emceeing the event. Ed, good evening. How are you? Dave, this is interesting. I thought the proposed license fee increase was dead. Has it been resurrected? Somebody help me out. Because the license fee increase that was proposed before the end of the year was it died. So they had to start all over again. So did it start all over again? And is there a second license fee increase, or are we still talking about the same one? Because if we are, that one is dead. Joe, good evening. How are you? I will, JT. I'll let you know for sure. Brother Ice Fish Lake St. Clair, eh? Good evening, Rick. Good evening, my friend Brent. Somebody come back and tell me, is there a resurrected proposal to increase license fees or, yeah, I think it's dead. It's dead. Unless they slip something through already in the first 15 days of the new year. No, it's dead. And how do I feel about it? I'd pay a hell of a lot more than what I am for the right to hunt and fish, for the license to hunt and fish. And I'll tell you what, I am of the age now where I can get a senior discount on my fishing and hunting license. I don't want it. I know it's not going to be very popular, but here's what I think. Pick anything. If an item is worth X amount of money to a 40-year-old, why should it be worth significantly less to a 60-year-old? Doesn't that item have the same value? And in this case, I'm talking hunting and fishing licenses. Why is there a senior discount on a hunting and fishing license? It's worth the same amount to a 65-year-old that it is 40-year-old. Now I know people are not with me on that one. That's one of the things where you and I are going to disagree. Is the audio broken? This microphone is not broken, but it's not hooked up. I'm using the audio through my laptop. Let me see one more time if I can get it to go. I really would prefer to use I'll go back to my laptop. So I apologize. It doesn't sound great, but it is what it is tonight. I had some tech problems at the last minute. John said it sucks to say that people need to spend more money, but we need to increase license fees. Larry says, I don't care if it goes up as long as the money is going in the right place and not shutting down stuff for no reason, like the coyote hunt. Linda says the license fee around is the best deal around. Because here, all right, I'll go back to what Linda says. Back when I was paying full price for licenses before I got my goofy senior discount, I don't want a senior discount on anything. I think it was $78 for me to get my base license, my fishing license, and my combo tag, the whitetail. $78, if I remember. And at the time, I used the example, I can take my 4 grandkids, I now have 5, I could take my 4 grandkids to the movie for one afternoon and watch a 2-hour movie and spend popcorn and drinks and spend more to take the grandkids to a 2-hour movie than I spent for the right to hunt and fish, for the license to hunt and fish all year long. Bernie, good evening, buddy. How are you? I need an old what? I need an old fashioned. I don't know what that means. Aditya, how are you doing, buddy? Happy Wednesday to you as well, my son-in-law. The theory is that us old folks make less in retirement. Okay, Art, I get that. But because a person makes less, is an item worth less? Mike Sills, Michigan Outdoorsman, good evening. How are you? Brent says he's okay with the license fees. John says, I don't have an issue with the fees. I live in the suburbs and hunting, fishing, you're grading. I think more people that live in the city need to advocate for those who aren't sportsmen. Something I'm working on. Good luck on that one. I mean, seriously, I mean that. Good luck with it. Deborah says, "Is it okay to drop a plug here on here that the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation Saginaw chapter is being held Friday, February 14th?" Yeah, absolutely, it is, Deborah. Thanks for asking, but absolutely, it is okay to drop a plug here. You're having an event on Valentine's Day, Friday, February 14th at the Horizon Center, 5 p.m. That's a great event. I've been there before. Craig says, "Simple test. What is the license per cost hunting or fishing trips? Best deal around." It is. In my mind, it's the best deal around. And if the rates go up, I will still think it's the best deal around. Good evening, Steve. Steve, how are you? Eric, nice to have you along with us. It is worth it, honestly. Dennis, good evening. Martin, always a pleasure. Mike said, "I spend more on a case of beer and a steak than my license." Absolutely, you do. Good evening, Tim. Craig, an increase in the fee won't be used right until we get rid of the Gretsch. Let's talk about that a little bit more. I'm not a big fan of her. In fact, I don't like her at all. But we have to realize that she is the governor, and then there's the DNR, but she appoints the DNR director. So, Craig, I see what you're saying, that there is a school of thought that because the governor appoints the DNR director, that she has some input or say into how our license fees are used. I get that. I'm not sure it's true, but I understand that line of thinking. Danny, good evening. How are you, Jim? Fishing license is about the cost of 4 dozen eggs. It's the best deal around. John says, "No criticism of fees. Spend it on recruitment and conservation." Susan, the last Wednesday night live of January. It's not the last Wednesday night live. Believe me, there will be many more, God willing, Wednesday night lives. It's the last one in January. And if I mistype that, I will go back and fix it. Nugent mentioned the CW in Ohio and Texas. Nugent was on the show here with me a few weeks ago. You want his phone number? I can give it to you. I dialed Ted a couple of weeks ago. I looked down on my phone calling Ted Nugent. I'm like, crap, I didn't mean to do that. So I hung up, and I was going to send him a text and said, "Sorry, butt dial." And he called me back. He said, "Mike, what's up?" Nothing, Ted. It was a butt dial. So I have actually butt dialed Ted Nugent. A new glass for my Crystal Light and adult beverage. No, this is just one that I happen to have. Here's how this happened. I was on the treadmill just before I came in here, and my big Rocky Elk Foundation Yeti that I usually have here for Wednesday Night Live doesn't fit in the cup holder on the treadmill. So, but this does, and it's full of Crystal Light at this point. So I wanted to stay hydrated while I was on the treadmill, walking, not running. So I have this with me because I came right from the other room into here. But I will. This is also my Crystal Light and Maker's Mark glass as well. So maybe it's going to switch roles shortly. Reduce out-of-state licenses to bring in more hunters. It's a dying industry. Ran into Mike at Home Depot. What a nice guy shook my hand. Well, it was nice meeting you, Roger. Always nice to meet you. I've had people say, "I saw you, but I didn't want to come up and bother you." If you see me somewhere, come up to me, say hi, tell me your name, let's shake hands, and let's meet in person. Don't ever think you're bothering me. That's part of this job that I happen to be in. Come up to me and say hi, just like Roger did. I think Dino says, Dino, I love that name too. I've told you that before. I think the DNR needs to show checks and balances showing where the money is spent. They took away over 250,000 bringing wolves into Isle Royal to control moose. Why didn't they have a lottery hunt and make money? Can't argue with that. Glad the lease for the solar field is on hold. And it's not because of backed out. It's because the contractor, when he saw they, and isn't it cool that we don't have any they, them stuff anymore? It's he or she. Isn't that cool? Don't mean to be political, but one person is one person. They can't be a plural, right? So anyway, the contractor, it wasn't the DNR that backed out. It was the contractor that backed out because of all the negative PR. Seems like a really big increase in fees where sportsmen pay for 86% of the funds for the DNR. So what are you saying, Steve? That there's and not that there is a license fee on the table right now that died for lack of support. But are you saying that you would support a license increase or not, Steve? Help clarify your statement, please. Oh, here we go. Not getting represented as well. If the head of the DNR was an elected position and not appointed, there would have to be accountability. Gotcha. Craig says, I would normally say get a new cup, but in this case, I say get a new treadmill. We actually need a new treadmill. My wife Denise is a runner, and she runs. She has worn that thing out. We need a new treadmill. Mike, good evening. How you doing, buddy? Rick says, I've never had an issue with a CEO. It's always been professional. If the increase keeps them in the field, I'm good with it. I don't know if the increase would go to law enforcement, though. Okay, let me move on to a couple of other topics here. We'll come back to your comments as well. Although Jim makes an interesting point, I'd have rather had a discount for, in this case, DNR licenses when I was young and raising my kids. Right? That's when you need the help. Rob Sador checking in from the Great North, White River, Ontario, Canada, APRs. I will tell you this right now, Dave. I am vehemently and adamantly against mandatory antler point restrictions, but I am all in favor of voluntary antler point restrictions. Ask Nugent why they moved operations from Jackson to Ontario. They didn't move to Ontario. They moved to Texas. They moved there because they had black mold in their house. All right, Art. See you later, buddy. What county, Larry? What county? Spread the fees around. Tom, good evening. How are you? Florence, glad to have you with us. The friend request thing makes me a little nervous, but glad to have you with us. No, Florence, sorry. Florence is gone. Let's get rid of Florence here. Block user. Bye, Florence. I'm all in favor of having people come on here. New people. Welcome it very much, but not if you're going to come on here and just spam people and ask for friend requests. I thought I got rid of Florence. Let's see. Block user. Okay, she's been blocked. Across all users, agree. Not just us hunters and anglers, but the Tweety bird watchers as well. Mike is setting up the Urgent Spearing Chivalry, which is this weekend or next. Okay, anyway, the last Wednesday night live for the month of February. How did the month of January go so fast? This weekend is Groundhog Day. Regardless of what Punxsutawney Phil sees, there is going to be winter for a while this year. It feels like it's not a good old-fashioned Michigan winter, but it's moving that direction, and we've got ice. We've got great ice for ice fishing across the state, including I got to respond to a daughter. My daughter just sent me something. She said, "Hey, they just updated your ancestry DNA, and they say I'm actually German." Oh, geez. I want to be Irish. I wanna be Irish. I wanna be Irish. I wanna be Scottish. I don't wanna be English. I don't wanna be German. Last thing in the world I want is to be German. RJ says St. Joe County. But St. Joe County is a known hotspot for CWD, right? Hey, Lori, good evening. How are you? See, that's just Steve nailed it. It doesn't matter how much hunting and fishing licenses are. If you are committed to the lifestyle and invested in that way of life, you will pay the fee. This weekend it is. This weekend. Shelby? Shelby, of all the nationalities you can tell me that they have updated my ancestry background to, German is the one that probably breaks my heart the most. Although when I said I was mostly English, I didn't like it. Can I just be Irish? Shelby, can you just tell me that the ancestry said I'm now Irish? Hey, Bill, how are you? Glad to have you along with this edition of Wednesday Night Live. And there's a background there about why I don't want to be German. Okay, can somebody answer this question for me? We have been living in this house now, and I know I just made a lot of you mad. We've been living in this house now for 10 years, and behind us is a pond. The pond has 2 muskrats at least that live on the pond. This is the first winter that we've had muskrats leave the pond and come up into our yard, and apparently it looks like they're eating grass. I think that's what they're doing. They're not digging. That doesn't look like they're causing a lot of damage. But I wanna know is why why is this the first year that this has been done? Never happened before. What it biologists, botanists, somebody tell me, wildlife expert, tell me, what is it about this year that is causing the muskrats to come up into our yard? Because Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand Meat said the same thing. The muskrats are doing that at his house, and he's never seen it before either. Linda, you nailed it. Well, wouldn't a good Midwest Lutheran be German? You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. Yes, exactly. Let's talk. Speaking of being a Lutheran, this event right here, Saturday, March 1st at the Great Hall in Midland. Let me tell you what we've got here. Thank you, Larry. Okay, let me talk about this event right here. Our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. This is a blatant fundraiser. We're raising money for our church and school. Live auction, silent auction, 50-50 raffle, guns, 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 a great meal, a wine pull, a bourbon pull. Some of the items that are up for bid. An African safari, courtesy of our good friend Craig Plowman, who's on here right now. An Illinois whitetail hunt, courtesy of our good friend Craig Plowman, who's on here right now. A shoulder mount from Scott Keatsman of the Linwood Taxidermy. A bear hunt with the bear whisperer, Johnny Bowler. A beautiful Rapid River knife. Hopefully a couple of Wraith blinds from Primal. A coyote hunt from Matt Schauck. A truck trolley from Andy Weiss of Truck Trolley. A youth hunt at the Schwab Farms in Northern Bay County. A day of walleye fishing with me on Saginaw Bay. A Linwood Beach Marina launch pass. And that's just my list. That's just my list. To get your tickets, go to the website. Here, I'm going to make it easy for you. Oh, did we? No, it's Trinity. Somebody, I had it before. Anyway, that's how you get your tickets right there. I will leave that pinned to the top of my Facebook page. Jim Felgenauer, who I was hoping Jim would weigh in on this, only guessing, but it made sense. It's a more preferred food source that's not available to the muskrats. Why? Why this year, Jim? That's what I can't understand. Why this year? It happened to you last year because the pond was so full and flooded their underwater homes. Our pond level is down. No, we did not treat it with chemicals. Linda, food source in the pond is low. Ice and snow cover diminished micro. This okay. This one I can go along with, because the pond is low. The food source in the pond is low, and the ice and snow have covered the diminished plant growth. I think that's probably it. Ding, ding, ding. Linda, I think you nailed it. That makes the most sense of anything I've heard. Absolutely. I'm going to go with that. Going to go with that. Um, Dennis, I would support the increase if the rural digests were not the size of a northern Michigan telephone book. This is an interesting point, too. There is no doubt, Dennis, I agree completely. There is no doubt that our hunting and fishing laws in Michigan are, there's too many of them. They're too complicated. Uh, what is the term because when you recodify our hunting and fishing laws need to be recodified. They need to be simplified. They need to be streamlined. Laws such as if you put a shotgun on your tailgate when you come back from lunch on a bird hunt, you're breaking the law. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Why do we have laws like this? I agree with you completely. We need to simplify our fishing game laws. Johnny Bulla, right there, the Bear Whisperer, the guy who is donating a bear hunt to our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner at auction. What could I do about him in the city? Actually, John, I could trap him. I could trap him. But I don't think they're not doing any harm. Can Nick make muskrat jerky? Good question. Muskrats learned your German. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. I don't care what my daughter Shelby says. I don't care what Ancestry says. Because before, my ancestry background said I was mostly English, with a name like Avery, of course I am, with 19% Irish. So I was going with the Irish, right? I'm going with the Irish. And now she comes back and says, super German? Shelby, you just pulled the rug out from underneath me. Larry says, Linda, that makes a lot of sense. It does. Okay, let me get back to my list of things here. Hey, have you seen all the pictures of sturgeon being caught in the Saginaw River? Now, you can't target sturgeon, and you can't keep them, but isn't it nice to know that they're there now? And sturgeon were native to the Saginaw River, but years ago, when the river got so dirty and pollution basically drove the fish out. Now the water has cleaned up, and local groups down here went up to the Black Lake chapter of Sturgeon for Tomorrow. They got some sturgeon fry. They brought them down here, raised them into fingerlings, and then they let them go. And now we have a population, looks like a growing population of sturgeon in the Saginaw River. How cool is that? Rabbit Homesteading, Larry says, while we complain on the DNR, can I just pay an extra $5 or something to get an actual non-digital digest? I don't think so, Larry. I don't think so. Trout streams, that's interesting too, the rules and regs there. Hey, Dave, good evening. How are you? Some little ones too. They're all going to be pretty little. No more Maker's Mark now. It's genius. Genius. What is? You're breaking my heart, Mike. I don't know what you're saying. Linda says, nice to see repopulation of native species. I eat grayling. Grayling? Let's go down the list here. Grayling, the Saginaw Bay walleye fishery. Walleye are native to Saginaw Bay. Saginaw Bay, they were wiped out in the 40s by overharvesting by commercial fishermen and pollution. Sportsmen's groups in the DNR reduced walleye to Saginaw Bay. What about our turkey population? What about our elk population? All of these species, sturgeon now, all of these species were native Oh, gotcha, Steve. No more Maker's Mark, it's beer now. Gotcha. Thank you, thank you. I don't think I don't think that's gonna happen. I saw that picture of that muskie, that was a huge muskie. You know what that was? In my opinion, that was a Sanford Lake muskie that came down and has been living in the river now. Jim says there actually were 300,000 printed copies of the fishing guide. He has an ad in there, in fact. I did not know that, Jim. I appreciate that. It was my understanding that as a cost-saving action, the DNR they found out they were wasting a lot of money by printing the hunting and fishing guides because a lot of them were getting thrown away. So Eagle's another one. As a way of saving money, they said we're going to go to a digital guide, which I support. So apparently, either they've reversed course or they're still printing some copies of the hunting and fishing guide. That's another excellent example. I talked about that in the radio show today. I was driving home yesterday. I live in town, not a huge city, but a town in mid Michigan and central Michigan. And as I was driving home in the city limits, I looked up and there's an eagle flying overhead. Eagles everywhere. Craig says, "Oh, definitely a Stanford Muskie, definitely." Although I do believe that the Saginaw River could produce some pretty good sized muskies on its own. Johnny says, "All I've seen is snow, 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 snow." Johnny, there's a solution for that. You want to know what the solution is? Move down, become a troll, move below the bridge. Simple solution, Johnny. Okay. How about I tell you who's on the Outdoor Magazine radio show this week? And again, if you're just joining me and you think the audio is a little wonky, it is. I had everything all set up and ready to go. And at the last minute, I decided for some stupid reason to leave the screen that I'm on here and go someplace. And when I came back, nothing worked. My camera didn't work. My mic didn't work. I got the camera to work, camera slash phone. I did not get this microphone to work, so I'm using the mic in my laptop. It is acceptable, but it is not up to the standards that I like to put out there. Johnny says negative. I'm moving down. Scott, that whole California wildfire, that situation is beyond the scope of conversation for a Wednesday Night Live. Josh says, I'm pretty sure Johnny's going to see a lot of skeeters and black flies this year. Okay, on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show, my first guest is Greg Abbas at Gateway Outdoors. Greg talks about the process of bringing a concept or an idea or a product in the outdoor industry to market. He is very, very good at that. Then I want to dislike this guy. I know. And you notice this too, that I keep doing this too, right? I keep wanting to talk into the mic. I know it. It's this mic. You hear it. I hate that. I did not win the Pure Michigan Hunt, and I'm not happy about it at all. But I did talk with one of the winners of this year's hunt. His name is Steve Dater from Rockford, my old stomping ground, Rockford, Cedar Springs, Greenville. So I talked to him about what it's like to win the Pure Michigan Hunt. He's been putting in forever. He's not one of those guys who on a whim put in for the first year. He is a hardcore hunter. He put in 5 tries for the Pure Michigan Hunt this year, and he's been putting in it forever. So if I'm not going to win it, a guy like Steve is a good second choice, right? So he said, at first when I had him on, he says, Mike, I'm so sorry that I won and you didn't. And I said, no, you didn't. You're lying. He laughed. He says, yeah, I'm glad I won. It is to me. It is to me, Larry. It is to me. Then in the second hour, have you heard about this yet? The World Ice Fishing Championship. The World Championship is in Michigan 2 weeks from now. And where do you think it is? Okay. If you're going to have a World Ice Fishing Championship in Michigan, what are you thinking? Higgins Lake? Houghton Lake, Tamarack Lake. Little Tamarack Lake is the site of the no, I'm talking about a big muskie that came out of Saginaw River. Tamarack Lake, Lakeview, the northeast corner of M46 and 91. Chris Durson's with us tonight, Rapid River Knives. You see what I just did, right? I reached into my pocket and I pulled out my Rapid River knife because it's with me always. Now, Chris was on with us last week, and I was talking about our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner. Chris said he's going to make a knife for us for the Trinity dinner. Well, I got Chris on here. Put a plug in for this. The website, rapidriverknifeworks.com, rapidriverknifeworks.com. Use the promo code Avery10, by the way. If you go to that website right now, rapidriverknifeworks.com, oh, Mike, you're killing me. You are killing me. All right, Johnny, have a good night, buddy. It is Lakeview, so it's going to be Montcalm County. And if you take M46 and M91 and go northeast of there about a mile, that's Tamarack Lake. Your backyard, eh, Mike? That is the site of the World Ice Fishing Championship. Let me go back to Chris Pearson and Rapid River. If you go to the website, rapidriverknifeworks.com, on there right now, you can enter to win a bear hunt in Idaho this summer. And they shoot color phase bears there. How cool is that? Thank you, Chris. Chris is one of my, look at all of my advertising partners are great. I love them all. But this relationship with Chris Pearson and Rapid River, when you've got a company that makes something that you use every day, it makes for a pretty strong relationship. So, Chris, thanks for working with me. I appreciate it. Okay, I was talking about who's on the show. Myron Gilbert, who is the coach of the U.S. ice fishing team, joins me to talk about the World Ice Fishing Championship on Tamarack Lake in Michigan in 2 weeks. Then Lance Valentine, I almost said teaching fiction. I almost said Walleye 101. Lance is canning all social media and going to the Walleye Zone, walleyezone.com. This week's Ask Avery segment, I turned the tables on you guys. I asked the question, why are the muskrats coming up in my yard this year? I think Linda answered it. And then I respond to why I'm not a huge ice fishing fan. It's not a passion of mine, and I explain why. And in the third hour, Rick Hobbs talks about squirrel hunting with dogs. He's with the Michigan Squirrel Dog Association. And we wrap it all up with Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. And he has a great venison recipe for us. Where is that lake, Josh? I think I've answered that. Every winter to feed the eagles. Mike, you're killing me. Good evening, Jason. How are you? American-made Rapid River Knives. All right. So what else? I think that kind of wraps it up. Squirrel hunting with dogs seems so cool. It does. Seems like a lot of fun. So let me see if I can do this. Let's see. Oh, screwed up in it. Oh, there it is. Every heart you embrace brings us closer to nature's grace. In the heart. All right. Yeah, I can't do that. I got to get rid of the music. Boom. Sorry. Things technically were a real challenge to me, I will admit. But I persevered. And I got through them. Ice fishing. Michael, good evening. Scott, why do you say you bugged me? You haven't bugged me at all. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. Eric said he knew a guy was filled up. All right, my friends. My name is Mike Avery. Thanks for sticking with me this evening as I work through some minor technical problems, but we got them all done. This is Wednesday Night Live, the last Wednesday Night Live of January. The next time you and I talk, it'll be February. My name is Mike Avery. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Love to hear from you. and we'll talk next week, my friends, right here on Wednesday Night Live.